You're in the middle of a heavy set, crushing your back workout. Your lats are totally locked out, ready to smash another 5 reps. The mind is focused, the bar is rising, but suddenly, a warning light flashes. Your forearms burst into flames. An insane burning sensation takes over every muscle below the elbow. Your fingers begin to open against your will. The bar starts slipping out of your hand like a smooth, soapy fish, and you're forced to drop the weight onto the floor. You look at the bar in frustration. Your back barely even started working, but the set is already over. Why? Because your grip failed long before your back did. Let me explain. This is one of the biggest sources of frustration in both the gym and calisthenics training. And it happens because the vast majority of people ignore a basic rule of biomechanics. The strength of a complex movement is limited by its weakest link. In any pulling exercise, whether it's a heavy bent-over row, a deadlift, a lat pull-down, or traditional pull-ups, the forearms and hands are the links connecting the massive strength of your lats to the actual load you're trying to move. Your forearms aren't there just for aesthetics or to fill out your t-shirt sleeves. They are the indispensable bridge between your nervous system and the external object. You can have monster back muscles, lats that look like airplane wings, and more than enough strength to pull tons of weight. But if your grip dies first, the stimulus for your back dies with it. The set gets interrupted prematurely, time under tension drops dramatically, and you fail to build back hypertrophy simply because your hand couldn't hold the load. The number one mistake the average gym bro makes is treating the forearms like a completely forgotten muscle group, throwing them into the same category of neglect as calves. You train chest, shoulders, arms, and back with absurd volume and surgical precision, but your forearms get pushed to the very end of the workout, when you're already exhausted, doing 2 rushed, sloppy sets of wrist curls before heading home. But the unfair truth is that your forearms are a complex structure that doesn't respond to lazy stimulus. It's not just a single isolated muscle that you can hypertrophy with one mechanical movement. It's an entire squad of smaller muscles working together across different anatomical planes. To fix this, and make sure your grip never sabotages your back gains again, you need to understand the functional anatomy of this region. The forearm has 3 primary functions and movement patterns that must be trained directly if you want balance, strength, and aesthetics. Elbow flexion, mainly driven by the brachioradialis, wrist flexion and extension, controlled by the flexor and extensor carpi muscles, and static and dynamic isometric grip strength, generated by the deep finger flexors. If your goal is purely aesthetic and you're chasing that dense, vascular, imposing 3D arm look, the star of the show is the brachioradialis. It's the muscle located on the upper portion of the forearm, crossing the elbow joint. When properly developed, it creates a seamless transition between the bicep and the forearm, making your arm look massive even when you're wearing a t-shirt. To isolate and absolutely hammer the brachioradialis, you should use neutral or pronated grips, where the palm faces sideways or downward. This is where the 2 exercises that should be mandatory in your routine come in: hammer curls and reverse curls. The hammer curl, whether done with dumbbells, a rope attachment on the cable machine, or an EZ bar, places the forearm in a mechanically perfect position to generate force. The reverse curl goes even further, brutally isolating the brachioradialis while forcing the wrist extensors to work under overload just to keep the hand aligned. Adding these 2 movements to your arm training not only creates an incredible aesthetic, but also builds the strength foundation needed to stabilize your wrists during heavy pulling exercises. However, the pure holding strength that prevents the bar from slipping comes from the finger flexor muscles, located on the inner side of the forearm. A lot of people try to fix weak grip strength by using straps. Using straps is an excellent tool for advanced phases of training, allowing you to keep stimulating your back even after your grip has already failed. The real problem begins when you become completely dependent on them from the very first warm-up set. If you use straps on every set of every rowing movement, you're masking your weakness instead of fixing it. Your forearms stay weak, small, and incapable of generating torque on their own. Stop blaming your genetics, the length of your tendons, or your DNA, and start blaming your skipped sets and lack of focus on execution. The forearms are a muscle group adapted to daily work. We use our hands for everything, which means this region has a high tolerance for stress and an incredibly fast recovery capacity. To make them truly grow and gain real strength, you need to apply the same principles you use for every other major muscle group: proper volume, high intensity, and progressive overload. There are advanced and highly effective strategies to accelerate this strength building process. One of the best tools you can adopt in the gym is the so-called fat grips, those thick rubber sleeves that wrap around barbells or dumbbells. By increasing the diameter of the bar, you completely change the mechanics of the movement, preventing your fingers from fully closing. This forces the muscles of the hand and forearm to contract with twice the intensity just to keep the weight stable. Doing rows or curls with thick bars turns any ordinary exercise into an insane grip workout on autopilot. Another crucial technique is specific isometric grip training, known as the farmer's walk. Holding two extremely heavy dumbbells at your sides and walking for a set distance or time forces your forearms to support a massive load under continuous tension, perfectly simulating the final stress of a heavy deadlift set. Train your grip directly 2 to 3 times per week, preferably at the end of your back or arm workouts so you don't sabotage your main lifts. Do this consistently, stop neglecting this muscle group, and apply the level of effort it truly demands. Within just a few weeks, you'll notice your forearms starting to expand, veins bursting out like road maps across the skin, and most importantly, your grip will stop completely sabotaging your back gains. You'll be able to pull far heavier loads for much longer, pushing your lats to true muscular failure without your hands giving up before the set is over. Click here to watch this video, where I explain why your tendons never heal and how to bulletproof your joints for life. If you keep training with a weak grip and forcing movements through bad compensations, the next step won't be hypertrophy. It'll be brutal tendinitis that keeps you away from training for months. Learn to train intelligently, strengthen your foundation, and build a body that's as strong as it looks.